I want to think about it. When you hear that, again, we have this path that we can follow. Okay, yeah, I get it. This is a big decision. You want to make sure you're making the best decision possible. I acknowledge. My experience is if we take the big decision and we break it down into smaller decisions, usually makes the bigger one easy to make. Frame. So what I'd like to do is to go over the decisions that you need to make prior to putting a home on the market in hopes that doing so can help you to make the decision that you feel is best. Whatever you decide, I'll support you 100%. Fair enough? So again, acknowledge, frame, message. The first decision that a seller needs to make prior to putting their home on the market is if they're even going to sell it. Sometimes when I meet with homeowners, what the marketplace is showing them is reasonable, realistic. It's just not in alignment with their expectations, what they wanted, or perhaps even need net bottom line in order to make the move happen. So they decide to do something different. Maybe they hold on to it, they rent it out or something of that nature. Now, based on what you are kind enough to share with me in preparation for connecting, that's not a serious consideration or option for you, right? You've definitely decided that you're going to sell. I would have to pre-qualify in order to know this, okay, fully. And what I would do is I would have a sheet of paper and I would go, okay, so it sounds like you've made that decision. Now, the second decision that a seller needs to make prior to putting the home on the market is the price. And I'm sure you're like most homeowners that I meet with, you would like it to be more. And I need you to know and understand, I would too. Right? We're on the same team. Obviously, the more we help you sell it for, the more we get compensated to help you. At the same time, having looked at what's active on the market, not selling, seen what's sold and closed most recently, particularly those last two that sold for $750 and $740, are we in agreement that the marketplace is showing us somewhere around that $740, $750 seems to be reasonable? And then be quiet and let's say they're like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. I want it to be more, but yeah. Okay, good. So we made that decision. Check. And then the third decision that a seller needs to make prior to putting their home on the market is who's going to help them. So, you strike me to be someone who's super straightforward. I'm the same way. So based on our initial conversation via telephone, based on, the information you've seen online, checking us out, in terms of reviews, and based on our conversation today, do you feel comfortable and confident with me that I would not only help you sell this home, but I would also look out for your best interest? And then be quiet. And they're like, yeah, I do. Okay, great. Well, it sounds like you've made the three decisions that a seller needs to make prior to putting their home on the market. May I make a suggestion? Yeah, let's do this. We can go ahead and take care of that. I can have the photographer out here in the next 24 to 48 hours and be up and active on the market by the weekend. How does that sound? So again, that's that framework. Acknowledge, we set the frame, we have a message and an influence objective, which is that close, right? Next one, somebody's going to say to you is, hey, the last agent said we could get more. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I can certainly see why that could be a little bit confusing. I'm acknowledging what they said to me. So what I'd like to do is to just kind of review with you, some information and some data. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. And my intention in doing that is just to help you to get clarity, right? So you can make the decision that you feel is best. Because I want you to be clear. This conversation is not about me. It's not about the other agent. It's really about you and your family and you making this move happen in the time that you want. So I guess I'm curious, right? When we take a look at what's active on the market right now and what has sold and closed most recently, being that the last closed sale was $750, right? And that was only 3 weeks ago. And it seems like they were suggesting to you that you can get meaningfully more. If you were a buyer, not a seller, and you were going to buy this home all over again, and let's say you came to me and you said, hey, Aaron, I want to make sure I'm getting a good value. I want to make an offer on this home. And we pull up this same data and we see the last closed sale that we looked at right here on the iPad. We can see features and amenities. They got the upgraded kitchens and baths like you do. They have a pool like you do. And they just sold for $750. As a buyer, do you think you'd be willing to pay like $50,000+ more? And then be quiet. And then I would ask them, yeah. So, I guess I'm a little bit confused by that. Why do you think an agent would tell you that they could get meaningfully more when the data is showing us something different? And then be quiet. Say, yeah. So can I share with you the nitty gritty of our business? Mm-hmm. Well, most agents, the average agent in our market does a handful of transactions all year long. It's about 4. So as such, you represent a very large portion of their income in a calendar year. And it can cause them to be a little tempted, perhaps, to share with you something that maybe is not reasonable, realistic, right? With regards to price, kind of telling you what you want to hear just to earn your business with hopes that they can systematically beat you up on price as time progresses. No, that's not what you want from an agent, isn't it? And they'd be like, well, no, I don't want that. Yeah. And who ultimately determines value? Is it me or you? And they'll be like, no, it's the buyer. Yeah, exactly. So the buyer and a seller are agreeing to pay. And we have clear data that's showing us what buyers and sellers are willing to pay. Now, you do want an agent that has the intestinal fortitude to be open and honest with you. Is that right? Yeah, I do. Okay, great. Well, you know what the great news is? What's that? You found what you're looking for. Let's just go ahead and take care of the appropriate paperwork and get started. Another agent I spoke with said that they would do it for less. I can certainly see why that would be something you would consider. And it sounds like netting the most is really important to you. Is that right? Yeah. Acknowledge. Here's the frame. Can I share with you what would concern me for you and your family, and ultimately how much you end up netting if you chose that approach? And they're like, well, sure. What do you mean? Well, one of the reasons why people like you hire me is because of our skills in negotiating. Because whether it's me or the other agent that you hired, they're going to be having conversations about your price without you present. Have you thought about that? That's the frame. Yeah. So if an agent's primary mechanism for obtaining business is lowering the professional fee, what do you think their primary mechanism for selling your home is going to be? And then be quiet. The message. Yeah. I'm curious, how long was the agent here before they said that they would do it for less? I don't know, maybe like 20, 30 minutes. Huh. Well, that's fascinating to me, because if the goal and objective is to hire an agent based on their skills in negotiating, how would you feel knowing that you hired an agent based on that skill and they demonstrate right in front of you the inability to protect the value of their own fee? I mean, 1% is only 1% out of 100%. 1% of 3% is 33%. I'm curious, would you lower your price by 33% just to sell the home? Of course not. I mean, you have a first-class home. Why would you sell it in a second-class manner? So the good news is, yeah, I may be tough on the professional fee. I'm going to be equally as tough as fighting for you tooth and nail to get you every penny possible. That's what you'd expect from the agent that you hire for the job, isn't it? You know what the great news is? You found what you're looking for. Let's just go ahead and take care of the appropriate paperwork and get started, okay? Acknowledge, frame, message, influence, objective. Okay, so notice that pattern throughout. Maybe do one or two more that you're going to hear frequently is once you've listed the property, and let's say it's not selling, then they're going to say things like, well, what are you doing to market my house? Right? Let's say after three weeks to a month and it hasn't sold yet, which we know the reason, it's the price, right? And you say, yeah, listen, I appreciate where you're coming from, because I know underneath that question is you want to make sure that we're doing everything possible to get your home sold. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, you know what the great news is? What's that? The great news is we're doing the exact same things that we've done to help X amount of families so far this year. And in fact, this month, and I know it doesn't mean much because yours hasn't been one of them, 8 other properties that we represent, went under contract, or 3 or 4, whatever the number is. So I know that what we do works. So what I'd like to do is to go over with you the 3 different reasons why a home doesn't sell, in hopes that doing so could help us to get some clarity. And then I'll go over the options that you have at your disposal, and whatever you decide, I'll support you, okay? So the first reason why a home doesn't sell is, maybe I'm not doing my job. Like I'm falling asleep at the wheel, right? I'm not marketing the property. I'm not getting the word out. And, again, I know you don't follow me around every day at the same time, having 10 showings in 30 days on top of, 500 plus hits online. We're definitely driving traffic into the property. So I know that's not it. The second issue is the condition of the property. Now, I mean, you tell me, do you feel like the home is not in good condition? And they're gonna be like, nah, it's in great condition. Yeah, I agree with you, right? And then that leaves us with a third reason why it's not selling, which is the price. So honestly, based on the fact that we've had 10 showings and no offers, all of those hits online, based on the fact that while we've been on the market in the last, 30 days, there have been 2 properties in our price point that have gone under contract, and they were priced at 650 or below, and we're at 700. What do you think's really stopping us from getting an offer? And then be quiet. And they're like, well, I guess it's the price. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. The marketplace is telling us, not me. The marketplace is telling us that we probably need to make an adjustment in terms of the price. The question is just simply how much. Now, if we were getting this amount of showings and no offers, let's say we were getting 15, 20 showings and no offers, marketplace would show us we weren't missing by too much, maybe a couple percentage points. Being that we're getting a couple showings a week and no offers, marketplace is showing us we're missing by more than that, more like 7%. And again, that would take us from the 700 that we're at right now down to 650. Do I have your permission to go ahead and put that in to get this property sold for you? Influence objective. Yeah. And then they might say something like, well, can we wait? Of course we can. You're the boss. My job is to help you. It's never to talk you into doing anything. Can I share with you what would concern me for you and your family if you chose that approach? When we initially connected, and I had the good fortune of earning your business, you were kind enough to share with me that the main reason you want to sell the property was blank, and you wanted to make that happen within the next, 120 days when we had initially connected. Is that right? Yeah. Now, has that changed, or is that still the same? Being that that's still the same, I was thinking about this in preparation for hopping on this call with you. Gosh, we're 30 days in, and you want to get it in 120. I mean, we really need to be under contract in the next 30 to 45 days tops, because it usually takes 30 to 45 days to close. I mean, tell me this, what would happen on the outside chance if we were still sitting here 120 days from now and it wasn't sold? What would that mean for you and your family? Okay, so it seems like we need to avoid that at all cost. So what would concern me for you and your family is if you make the approach in waiting, it could really elongate the time that it takes to sell, and that would really push into and create that dynamic where we're still here 120 days from now and it's not sold, being that we need to be under contract in the next 30 to 45 days. Does that make sense to you? Yeah, it makes sense. And I'd much rather put you in a situation where we can just flat out say no. We get offers on the table, right? Just say no. Or I can negotiate on your behalf and try to pull them up to where we want them to be versus being in this situation where we're not getting any, right? So at the 650, you would actually net X amount from the sale. Would that allow you to make this move happen? Not is that enough, because it's never enough, right? So would that allow you to make this move happen? Well, I guess so. Okay, good. So do I have your permission to go ahead and put that in so we can get this property sold for you? So these are some common objections that you're going to get on a regular basis. And if you really want to build the foundation, right, to avoid being a statistic in this industry, because, agents who get their license again, within the first year, 70+% of them are doing something else. And within 5 years, 80+% are doing something else, right? You have to master these foundational skills. And one of them is handling objections.
My name is Gabriella, and I'm the event planner for our group. We're going to have a great meetup today, but I want to tell you about our event in January. We're having the Do More Deals Summit in Fort Lauderdale. All of the biggest partners and agents are flying across the U.S. They're all coming to speak to us, to get us revved up for the new year, to make sure we do more deals next year.